It's time now for The Drive on ESPN Blacksburg, AM 1430, 810, FM 94.1, and live on the web at espnblacksburg.com.
It's The Drive on ESPN Blacksburg, and a good evening to all of you. My name is Paul Van Wagoner. B-Rye in the other studio is taking your calls at 961-1430. 961-1430 is the number to call. Love to hear from you today if there's something on your mind. Jason Stamm joining us from the VT Zone and Scout.com. How are you today, man?
Oh, just another day, Paul.
Another day and another Hokie signing. That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about
commitment last night.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the latest commitment for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, so Christian Darrisaw just got an offer from Virginia Tech on Friday. He actually goes to Riverdale Baptist up in Maryland. He's teammates with Tariq Castro-Fields.
Right.
So that's kind of actually how they got on him was, looking at Castro-Fields. And it's one of those, it's been kind of a down year for offensive linemen. I mean, there just aren't a ton out there as far as, some good, high-quality guys. You've got a few that obviously they're still waiting on. Mekhi Beckman been one of those guys for a while. But I don't know. They saw something in Darrisaw they liked. He's not a massive kid. He's about 6'5", 280. Didn't have any other offers, so I think somebody that you could make the argument Virginia Tech is kind of taking a chance on.
Sure.
And it's still not 100% that he's going to be at Virginia Tech next year. There's a possibility he could have to go the prep school route.
Okay.
More just because I think partly academics, but also just because he needs another year, I think, to develop to be ready for the college level.
Okay, I got you. But, you and I have talked about this, and one of the things that you have seen in your career, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but is the fact that if you can get these offensive linemen in, and we've talked about this, do you recruit guys as guards or centers or tackles? You just recruit them as offensive linemen, and you can kind of either teach them to snap the ball or teach them to play guard or teach them to play tackle, depending on how they develop. So the biggest thing is that you can't teach, 6'6", 320 pounds, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. I mean, you want to find the guys with the frame, and you want to see at least some potential. I mean,
right.
Most of the time these guys aren't there yet, and that's something, especially as an offensive lineman. Every kid talks about wanting to contribute and play right away, but the odds, whereas it's maybe a little more possible for a skill guy or a DB, something like that, to play, even on special teams.
Right.
Those offensive linemen are rarely do you find those guys that play as true freshmen.
Right.
I mean, it happens, but not very often. They need a lot of time to develop. A lot of times their bodies just physically aren't there yet. So this is another one of those kind of kids here, and it's one of those that I don't think it's a huge reach. Again, you look at it and you think, oh, what are they doing? Why are they offering this guy? But, let's say he ends up going to Fork Union next year.
Right.
Probably redshirts a year after that. So wouldn't even get in uniform to possibly play at Virginia Tech for we're talking about almost 3 years.
Right.
So by that point, you hope he's pretty developed. But that's a lot of time that he can develop, and there's a lot of things that can change over that time. So this is one of those I think you're really looking ahead.
Yeah.
And when you said not even looking ahead, not even so much to next year or the year after that, you're looking even farther down the road. So, but, offensive line, it's been one of those positions that, historically, just recently, even, Virginia Tech has really struggled with. So it's getting that foundation. It's building, putting it in place for down the road 2 or 3 years from now where somebody can maybe contribute, and you're already setting yourself up to not be in this current situation where you're really hard up for an offensive lineman. You've already got some guys in place.
And one other signee, you mentioned Fork Union just the other day, just yesterday, in fact. Is it Silas Dzani? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah, Silas Zancy actually committed to Virginia Tech back in the spring.
Okay.
He's from C.D. Hilton High School up in Northern Virginia in Woodbridge. He signed when he committed to Virginia Tech back in the spring. It was a foregone conclusion he was going to go to Fork Union. There was no question about it. This was basically a sign in place, and this was definition sign in place. They signed him and then got him in Fork Union. His grades weren't great, so I think he's got up to where he needs to be now. He was actually in that group that visited for the Miami game. I think Fork Union brought I think it was pretty much their entire post-grad team.
Right.
No other offers had come out of that, but I think they wanted to give those guys some experience. And that just shows the relationship that they have, that Virginia Tech has with Fork Union, so that they're able to bring their whole team up for a game like that. But Silas was there. He did sign his letter of intent, during the fall period that applies to prep school guys.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan is for him to enroll in January and be able to take part in spring practice.
Okay.
Again, though, we talked about, there's no definite he could play this year,
right?
Or this coming season. Looking like, I would say the odds are he's going to end up redshirting, but
sure.
He'll have played prep where he needed to get his grades up, got some more experience playing time, and hopefully can be ready to go here sooner than later.
Well, and it's one of those things that in football, and you've mentioned this with the offensive lineman just a couple of seconds ago, in most cases, in most positions, there aren't very many freshmen that come in and are ready to play, right?
Yeah, there really aren't. I mean, you're going to see a few.
Right.
I mean, look at what some of these guys did as true freshmen. I mean, it just doesn't happen that
right.
often. A lot of times, even the guys that are Johnny Manziel, going back to Jameis Winston, those guys are redshirt freshmen, and they finally started getting some time. So
sure.
it just takes time. It's a big, big adjustment. I think probably 99% of high school kids don't realize the adjustment from high school to college.
Yeah.
Not only on physically, obviously college guys usually are so much bigger and they're more athletic. They've been in a college weight program. They're a lot farther along than these high school guys are, but even just socially and academically, it's a big adjustment moving from, where you've got people kind of, really helping you get through high school to a lot of it, you're on your own. I
right.
mean, it's a big adjustment for anybody, let alone somebody who's also trying to balance everything, again, like I said, socially, but everything academically, and also playing a sport. And
sure.
some of these guys are like Devin Wilson playing two sports.
Yeah.
It's a really tough thing to do.
Yeah, very, very true. I'm going to ask you to step outside your comfort zone maybe just a little bit because I want to talk about UVA. NCAA Football Nation tweeted out about 5 hours ago, offensive tackle Cole Kirby had decommitted from UVA. Are you hearing anything on this? If so, is there a reason why? Is there a chance that this might be somebody that Virginia Tech wants to go after?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Kirby's one of those guys. I don't think he's quite what Virginia Tech is looking for. They've kind of already got in their mind, some other candidates.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned on here last week, Bryson Speeds has become a pretty good target for them at offensive line. They haven't offered him yet, but definitely somebody who I know they're liking more and more as they've seen him. But yeah, I don't think really, and it's not putting any of those guys that UVA has down. It's just I don't think Virginia Tech has really looked too much into any of the ones that have committed there.
Okay.
Past, there may be one or two, but not overall too much.
I got you. Switching gears a little bit here to basketball, you've had a chance to see Kadeem C play a couple of games for Virginia Tech for Buzz Williams. Is he everything that you thought he might be for the Hokies early on in his career?
Yeah, Kadeem is one of those that I know we talked about it on here back when he committed last year. And he, watching him in camp, watching him at Oak Hill, seeing him on TV, watching his film, he just came out to me so many times as kind of a project. And I got that from, our friend Evan Daniels, from our other analysts who had seen him. Just kept hearing over and over that he was going to need some time. He wasn't somebody that didn't think could play right away. And, seeing where he was and where he is now, and obviously Buzz had lots of praise for him after the opener on Friday, after the win over after the win that Virginia Tech got on Friday, talked him up. I mean, said it was one of the most polished big guys he's ever coached as a freshman. So I think that really, really speaks to the coaching job that Buzz and the staff have done on him to get him in not that much of time here. I mean, it's been, 4 or 5 months, or 3 or 4 months, that they've been able to transform that guy into somebody who we thought was a project a year ago to somebody who's obviously due for quite a bit of playing time. And it's not even, some of it's out of necessity. obviously with Kerry Blackshear being on the shelf right now, but he also, Hadim has looked really good out there.
Yeah.
I think he's also, matured a little bit physically and just seems more comfortable out there. I mean, he was just, I don't know if it's fair to say he looked lost last year at times, but definitely the comfort level, it's pretty obvious. He looks a lot more comfortable out there, and I think it makes losing Kerry Blackshear not quite so bad if you're able to get this kind of production like they've been able to get out of these two games so far from the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw this box score, and he obviously is pitching in and chipping in, and like you said, that it's almost out of necessity at this point. But man, good for him, because overachieving, I guess, maybe is a good way to describe, at least early on, what we're seeing out of him.
Yeah, and these guys that are freshmen, that obviously it's not a big deal for a guy in basketball. It happens all the time, in basketball, where guys play as true freshmen, but. There's growing pains, and I'm sure Hadim's going to go through that at some point, where he's going to have his ups and downs. It's not going to be, unless you're one of these guys who's maybe a top 5 NBA draft pick, or one of these guys that's looking like it. You're going to have your ups and downs. So you just kind of have to know that and know that he's learning from his mistakes and learning every game. And but where he is right now after 2 games, I mean, it's pretty impressive, because just where we saw him in Oak Hill and where we saw him a year ago, I mean, it's really. He's really grown by leaps and bounds in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I agree, and it's good to see, especially with the lack of being able to recruit a big man, that Kadeem is there and is able to play and contribute right away. So hopefully, maybe that might even help with the recruiting down the road of another one, if players see, hey, this is what Buzz can do with these guys, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. We can I guess keep our fingers crossed. Jason Stamm, as always, man, I appreciate your time. I know you guys have got the deal going on right now with Sports Illustrated, swimsuit issues for everybody. Every time, man, every time.
It's important. That's important.
Hey, look, really, honestly, why are you signing up for Sports Illustrated? Be honest, for crying out loud. What other kind of great deals do you guys have at the VT Zone?
That's the big one right now. We've got some other deals. We've sent out stuff to. We've got a deal with Advance Auto Parts. With some of their. So if any employees for Advance are listening, I know we've put out some good offers for those guys.
Cool.
In their newsletters and stuff. But yeah, for anybody else, the deal with Sports Illustrated is still on the table. Still have a year subscription to Sports Illustrated included when you subscribe annually to the VTZone.com, which, I've said it every week. I'll say it again. It really pays for itself because, especially now that we're getting around holiday time and people are buying Christmas gifts, I mean, you get 10% off any gear in our Fanatics, our fan store. And then if you want to buy anybody some tickets, tickets going to games or concerts, whatever, those are always good gifts too. So you get 10% off that every day. Just by being an annual subscriber with the VT Zone.
I want a T-shirt with just your picture on the front. Is there any way that we can we make that happen? I
think there's some local screen printers in town. I'm sure somebody can hook you up with that.
I'm gonna go see Travis over at High Peak, see if he can make. Can I take orders from the VT Zone staff? You think any of them would want a Jason Stamm exclusive T-shirt?
I don't know. I don't know how many of them want to have me on their chest, showing. But I don't know. I can't speak for any of those other guys. So, and that's when you say staffers, that includes Derek Hopkins, he's one of our contributors.
Yeah.
Skip, I think, needs about a 4X.
We can make that happen.
So I don't know. That'd be a very large mug of me on Skip's chest.
I'm telling you right now, those could be great Christmas gifts. People are clamoring. You know what? Screw that new Nintendo thing that they got going on, that little mini Nintendo throwback thing. Jason Stamm T-shirts are where it's at this year for Christmas. In fact, B-Rye, I may have just given away what you're getting for Christmas.
Stocking stuffers.
Heck with that.
That's what Brian always wanted, too.
Yes.
It absolutely is. Everybody wants one. Jason, man, as always, thank you so much for doing this, buddy. I appreciate you putting up with my crap every Wednesday. I'll talk to you next week, all right?
All right, thanks, Paul.
All right, take care. There you go, Jason Stamm, the VTZoneScout.com. Seriously, check out what they've got going on, because if you are as passionate about Hokie sports as the rest of us, and you want to know from a recruiting standpoint, I mean, that's the beauty of college sports, is every year a new crop of players come in, and every year the seniors go out, and maybe some of the juniors go out, but they keep you kind of your finger on the pulse of where those new crop of freshmen and future freshmen are coming from, and it's so cool to get that information as a fan of Hokie sports.